All right, folks. It is the guy with the bow tie checking in with you live for another edition of Business with Benefits. Had to have a little outcast there to do the open. I have my friend of mine, Ray Abrams, to my right. Hey, Ray, how you
Yeah.
doing?
Hey, doing
I hope that
great.
opening was okay for you.
Oh yeah, no, the opening was awesome. It was awesome. I was busy sending out links to my followers, my all seven of them. I'm just joking.
Well, perfect. Well, thanks. I'm testing new technology, so I was like, please don't mess up. But thank you to hashtag Team Live, hashtag Team Replay, however you consume the content. We appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about connecting, and I want to make sure we're talking about connection. We talk about the audience real quick. We had a comment from Marlon Addison, good friend of mine. Hey, King Marlon, saying Team Live. Miss Ashina Burke, she's Team Live also. Hey, Ashina, thanks for jumping in here. And then Gabrielle Turnell, Gabrielle's Team Live as well. Thanks for joining us, Gabrielle. Love the comments coming in. And we got some emojis showing up. They can't show on my end. We got emojis coming from people. So thank you so much, team, for giving us that. So, Ray, you and I got connected by another connector. Enrica put us together. And it's lovely when I see a connector get connected by somebody else. So for the people that don't know you and the things you're doing with coaching and the book you have out there, let them know who you are and why you know about connecting.
Okay, cool. So yeah, my name is Ray Abram. I like to call myself the connection coach. It kind of comes out of myself, having trouble, finding jobs, keeping jobs, getting promoted. I've tried to start a couple of businesses in the past that weren't successful. And, and over the years, it just hit me one day that I need to figure this out. I need to become better at it. And so I spent a couple, 3 years just reading everything, experimenting, trying out new strategies on how to build a network. And, and actually now I've become pretty good at it. And everything that I have used to fail at, now I'm finding some success. So wanted to take an opportunity to share that. And that's why I wrote the book, Connect Like a Boss. And also am coaching other folks who struggle as I did on how to become better networkers.
Awesome. And I think that's a relevant skill. I mean, right now there's so many social media platforms out there, but connecting is a different thing. I mean, because people, I think connecting is just having the numbers of I have 20,000, 10,000, whatever number of people. But you're talking about something deeper. So when you say connecting, what does that really mean to you in the world of success and building a business?
Right. Well, to your point, most people think of a network or networking as simply the number of people that you have. However, it's really the number of people that you have and the depth of the relationship, how good the relationship is with those folks. Right. So you have something called relational capital, which is your relationship. What you were talking about is social capital. So social capital is how many people you know and how many people know you, right? Which is good. However, that doesn't give you a strong network. You also have to have good relations. So what I show people is how to multiply your social capital by your relational capital. And that's the power of a network.
Perfect. And I know Connect Like a Boss, you have a framework with 4 pieces to it. And I don't want you to give the secret sauce of everything away. But as people are building a network, I mean, people look at my network and say, oh, you have 20,000 people and all that. And for a long time, I didn't engage. I just had people like numbers. So I fell victim to that, vanity metric of seeing a lot of numbers. And somebody with far fewer connections than me would have more engagement because they just focus on their relationships. So for you, I love that you're a down-to-earth real person talking about this because there's so many pundits and gurus you see out there saying, buy my system for LinkedIn and you'll be a millionaire in 5 weeks and stuff like that. But you're not pushing that. You're saying any kind of social media. So what's a good skill that you notice over writing this book that people don't have with getting this connection going?
Right. Well, I start from the very beginning, right? I think you're just told you need to have a network, but not really told why or how. So the first step is really understanding your goals, right? What do you want? I talk about a PAVE system, which is principle based, attainable, value based, and exciting, right? So have goals that resonate with you and that fall in line with your principles and your values. Write those down and then look at your network and see, do you have the people in your life who can help you achieve those goals, right? Many people just network for the sake of networking, but don't network with intention on saying, these are the type of people that I need to have in my life, and then go out and get them or add them to your network.
Yeah, I like that. I know at a certain point I started doing that later in the game. I was at first just connecting with anybody, and then later on I said I want to level up who I am and be around certain people. So I specifically looked at certain connections, like, hey, I really want to know this person. Probably most notable, I guess, shout out Ronell Richards. I wanted to know Ronell and Nick Nelson. There are two people that I want to know them and like build a relationship with them. So I actively followed them and connected and engaged their content. Now we can text each other and have a relationship. So speaking to that too, we have some people in comments. I want to make sure I bring up Carl out there saying hello, Chief. Thanks, Carl, for calling me Chief. Lisa, don't butcher me if I got your name wrong. Lisa Wilson, connection queen here. She said I'm a high key, low key connection queen.
Nice.
So Ray, you might have some competition with her a little bit.
No competition. There's plenty of people to go around. 8 billion people.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, it's no competition. And it's
you're
not mutually exclusive. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And Carl said making big moves. He also said hello, Ray, to you. So Carl gave you a little hi. And Marlon had a good comment that in here. He said that quality of my tribe versus my connections. Quality is potency. I like to saying that way. That's a good way to break it down. And to Bong, she said, Team Live, thank you. And here we go. This is a good thing. We'll unpack this real quick. So Lisa said, working on a couple of in-person events now while in the pandemic precautions into account. I'm here for inspiration. So let's talk about that. You connecting with people. I'm sure before COVID, you were probably in a lot of networking events before this, probably, right?
Yes. You know, getting out, actually shaking hands, interesting. Trying to do this now is just a different, different mindset. You know, in ways, is actually easier now to network. It's counterintuitive. However, people have time now to talk, and I think we're rediscovering the just picking up the phone and calling people. Everybody's so busy, you know, and you think about, you know I was the king of busy, you know, on top of just having a full-time job, you know, 3 teenagers, you know, practices, and then, you know, trying to have my own business on the side. I just had very little time to pick up the phone and talk. Now that there's no practices, you know, I'm working from home, you know, somebody will call me, except, well, obviously not right this minute, but most of the day I'll pick up the phone and talk. And so it's an opportunity to build connections, build those good relationships over the phone that you may not have been able to do before because everybody was so overbooked. Yeah.
And that brings a good comment from Miss Wilson. She said, I think I have a strong network and I'm often surprised by a high level of support. And that's interesting too. And I've found lately people say, "Oh, I watch your content." They don't say anything on the content, but they'll be like, "Oh, I love your content." I'm like, "Really?" I mean, it's just people that I'm like floored that they even notice that I'm doing this stuff. So as you're building with everything, you mentioned picking up the phone and having a conversation, no practices and all that. Is that have you kind of elevated Connect Like a Boss since COVID-19, since the book was pre-COVID? Have you kind of changed some of the mindset of the book?
No, I think it stands. And the beauty of this is that this too will end. I think what I'm telling people now is, you know, plan for 2021. You know, don't go into 2021 the same way you came into 2020, right?
Yeah.
Write out your goals. Decide who you want. You know, one of the things I talk about some of the mistakes or just a quick tip to give to your listeners is to actually create an avatar of your friends, of the type of friends that you want. One of the things that I think blocks people is we're always taught that your friends and your business associates or customers should be different. And that's not true at all, right? You should be friends with your business associates, because many of us have started businesses, or when we're in between jobs, we call our friends, right? Who can't help us, right? And I know, you know, being an entrepreneur, you've probably experienced, you know, when you hung the shingle out on the door and you expect friends and family to line to buy your stuff, right? It doesn't happen. However, right? It just, I mean, that's just that usually you have maybe 1 or 2 will, but you have hundreds of people in your phone that never supported you. What I do is I talk about switch that up and actually have people that who can buy from you, who is your customer, and turn them into friends, close friends, right? And that way they can support you just like they would with their other friends.
So the title "Connect Like a Boss," I love that, making it a fun thing. Is there more depth to it than it just being a fun title?
Yes. So when I wrote the book, it was this particular book is targeted more for folks who are in a career, who are trying to move up the career ladder, but keep getting passed over for promotions. And so what you find is that folks who sit up in the top get there from their connections. And one of the examples in the book, I talk about Bill Gates, right? A lot of people don't know that Bill Gates' mom was good friends with the president or CEO of IBM, right? And so you wonder, how come IBM, remember Bill Gates was 19 years old when he started Microsoft, right? He wrote DOS when he was maybe 19, 20 years old, and he already had the contract to have the operating system for all of IBM's computers at 19, college dropout, because of the connection. And so what I want to show folks is that you can actually create that type of situation for yourself by building those connections and help you get up the corporate ladder.
I like that. I didn't know that about Bill Gates either. So that's an interesting story. You just see the now and don't realize the climate took to get there.
The climate took to get there, and he had some help.
Yeah, and then other comments to catch up with people. Marlon put in there, network with intention. I can't stress that on people. I know when people look at my show list, the people I've interviewed, it's been intentional. I try to get certain people in my life just to, expand who I am, and just I feel I have value to them. So for someone starting a business, let's say this is ground zero. They're starting a brand new business, or they're new in a career. They don't have the family and friends and all that. So what are some actionable tips they can use? I know you said make the list. That's probably step one, is who do I need to know in this company to move ahead or in my business? But what's an actionable daily tip or something they can use to help them connect better and build relationships?
Right. Go through your phone. One thing is, it's really funny. People have a funny habit, right? You spend 90% of your time talking to the same 5 people, right? I think we can relate, right? Think about if you were to pull out your old school phone bill that actually had all the phone numbers you dialed, right? I would estimate 90% of them, for most people, 90% of them are the same 5, 6 people, right? You just talk. Those are your comfort friends, right? What I say is, listen, go through your phone. First of all, let everybody know what you're doing, right? You're not asking for customers, but you would be surprised at when you go through, and most people have 400 or 500 people just in there, just names you've collected, and you have never talked to them again. But that's okay. Call them now, right? And say, hey, and don't come at them like a multi-level marketing person, like, hey, I started an insurance firm and I want you to buy a policy, but more, hey, I'm just calling to check on you and how you doing? How's the family? Reconnect.
Yeah.
And then during the conversation, they will inevitably ask you, well, what are you doing now? What are you working on? And that's when you tell them. And you would be surprised if they'll say, my friend such and such, boom, was just talking about that, and then that leads to, that's that connection that will lead to actual clients.
I love that you said that, because that's a huge thing, and especially in insurance, that most people come into the insurance game and they think they get there's this old tactic of name 100 friends, and the manager takes you in the office and proceeds to have you call and then throw them on the phone real quick. And usually the call is something like, hey, we want to make sure you get a policy, some kind of rubbish like that. But I've never done that. I mean, my family, I just kind of say, hey, this is what I'm doing if you need it in the future. And this is before I've even talking, you're just even understanding that I know for me, that doesn't work to say, hey, Ray, I opened up an ice cream shop, come buy some ice cream like that. I don't like people hitting me that way. So I think on LinkedIn, people don't get that. They'll connect with you and send you a paragraph like, hey, let's set up a Calendly appointment right now, or let's do a webinar or something, like the first message. And I would much prefer if you just tell me, hey, this is what I do. If you ever need to let me know. Like if you're going to pitch me, do that.
Right. And follow up, right? So the pitch is more in building a relationship, right? Because what happens is quite often people are transactional with those calls. Like you just talked about the 100 calls. It's simply transactional. Do you need insurance or not? And if it's no, you never call them again, right? So it's more about, let's talk, because at some point in everybody's life, they need insurance, right? And they probably need whatever it is you're selling at some point in their life, but they don't think about you Because how frustrating is it for like, I know a lot of real estate agents who like close friends buy a house from somebody else.
Yes, that's got to be aggravating.
And it's really about just staying top of mind, making sure people remember what you do, and that comes through being friends. And so I wanted to make this point too, that the number, there's a study by a guy named Robin Dunbar, so it's called Dunbar's number, that talks about how many relationships you can have, active relationships you can have simultaneously. And the number is about 150, right? So if you had 150 people that were your friends, close friends, you really never have to sell again. Those are all the people that you have to stay in contact with. Instead of the 5 or 6 that you do now, if you have 150 people, what I coach is that you put them on a calendar. So you touch every one of them, text, social message post, call, if you 3 to 5 a day, that's 150, about roughly 150 people every month. And that's all you have to do. You never have to sell again.
You guys need to do some reactions for Ray with that. He just gave you the golden goose right there. Do some reactions for Ray. No, because that's powerful, because there's apps and stuff that they make just to do these kind of things, and it's simply be intentional. When I mentioned Nick and Ronell, I would look for their content. And I know whenever I see their content, I'm going to like and comment and say something every time. And anybody that I wanted to like build a relationship with, it's not a game or something, but it's be intentional, just like dating. It's the same if you want to date a young man or woman. You have to be intentional about, I haven't called her in 2 weeks. I should probably call her and see how she's doing. And it's the same thing. So with this in the career space, I think it's harder in the career space because you have a set number of people that are always there. Yeah. If the people above you, for example, let's say there's the senior manager and you're the entry level person. If you, for some reason, y'all don't hit it off, or it's not a good relationship, what's something you coach people to help them to still elevate themselves in that bottleneck situation?
Right. I mean, and that unfortunately does happen. There are people that, you just don't hit it off with, and if they're blocking your route, building a good network actually can just lead to opportunities that you may not be expecting. There's old saying, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans, right? And so you may, want to become the chief marketing or the VP of marketing, but the chief marketing officer doesn't like you for whatever reason. You'd be surprised though. Build relationships around that person, right? Build relationships at other companies. Build your value. The more people that you need to know that you have in this circle, that you have good relationships with, things will just happen out of the blue. You'll get calls. You'll get the perfect job. There's a book by a guy named Mark Granovetter called, surprisingly, Getting a Job. And it was a Harvard study. And I mean, he went deep into how people get jobs and get promoted. And it's really about just surrounding yourself with a circle of people who are like-minded and successful. People who have a circle above them tend to move up, right? But most people keep a circle of friends who are at their same level or below, simply because they feel a little intimidated, right? I don't belong in this C-suite, right? So it's all inside of self-talk. If you can change your self-talk, that you believe that you should be where you're supposed to be, nobody can really block you. It will happen for you eventually.
I like that. And something I want to put up here that Gasper had up here. Oh, so it looks like we can start our 150 right here. Yes, I'm issuing a challenge. So everybody in the comments and the reactions and all that, if you see someone you like, connect. And this is something I think people miss with live. I've met, through Shara Jones Live, I met great people in her comments, or in, Paul Brunson's comments, I met great people in his live. So as you guys go on a LinkedIn Live, don't just take it as a chance to consume content. Take it as a chance to say, that person says something I like. Let me go see if we could talk and build a further relationship. Marlon and I are practically play cousins at this point, because Marlon's been to so many of my lives before I even talked to him. He just saw my content, and then we started talking. So to make that challenge, Gasper, you're right. This is a challenge. Make sure you make connections and talk to people. Yes. So in our current society, you mentioned transactional. Seems like sales is in a turning point right now. that you could be transactional to some degree prior to COVID-19. But now it's empathy has to come into play. Rapport is a lot more important right now. So
Yes.
would you say this is kind of a turning point for salespeople to kind of get rid of the old way and try to build a small circle of people they stay with all the time?
Yes, yes. I mean, I think it's the perfect time now. Like we kind of talked about, planning for 2021. And this, in my opinion, it has been a season of, just sitting still for a minute, and learning, regrouping, planning, and that's okay to take this time to do that so that you can come out of the gate refreshed with new strategies and new skills. And that's why I really hope folks will follow and heed some of my tips. So because it really changes your life, particularly if you're in sales, right?
Mhm.
Sales people, again, quite often have been transactional. I think I bought a car, a few months ago. Nobody said anything. It was just like, thank you. And they gave my keys and shook my hand, and I haven't gotten a call. Right.
Yeah.
But imagine if that salesperson became my friend, because I'm going to need a car again in 3 years, 4 years. Right.
Yep.
And build that relationship. So I would not think about going to someone else. Right. So
I got a good point there. So that now, so I know you're very much more the not old school, but the high touch, soft skills kind of thing. Yeah. Some people take this as making a mailing list. So you buy the car, like I think my mom, a realtor. You buy the house, they put you in an email campaign, and you get an email of a template you get once a month. Is that going to be sufficient? You think?
No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. It's good emails, right? It's actually, emails, how's the car, boom, something about tires or service or something, just kind of have this relationship with someone. So
something personal.
Whatever. And do that. And again, I'm going to be much more likely to buy from you in the future. And is it work? Yes. The key, and I tell people the largest part of network is work, right? Is where work. You got to put in the time. It is not easy, but it is life changing, because once you have a strong network of about 150 people, right, they will just always send you referrals. I talk about ambassadors, right? So this is what I'll just kind of share quickly, if it's okay, just a little bit about the plan. So, when you go through your book, you go through your phone, you actually assign an A, B, C, or a D to folks, right? So the A's are your ambassadors. These are people who are always going to buy from you, always going to send you folks, right? Your B are the people that you just kind of do business with. They're not necessarily close. The C's are people who are comfort people. They're not going to do any business with you, but you just like having them around, right? We still need those people in our lives, mom and them, the cousin. It's just somebody you just talk to and confide in. And the D's are people that you need to delete, right? So it's okay to take this opportunity to spring clean your phone, your contact list. Go through. If you can't remember this person, or you had a bad experience with them, you will never do business with them or never recommend them, delete them. So I assign everybody either a B, a C, or a D.
I like that. I need to go through my connections. An interesting thing I thought about, when people pass away, you just have these connections still on your social media, and you never actually know it. So like, this person died 5 years ago. Like, oh, I never talked to him, so I didn't keep track of that.
Right.
So you're making a very highly engaged network versus a raw number, because I know I find myself getting into some of these things, like comment here, connect with these people, and then you build this, number, which there's some truth to that, because you're seen, because it's like a website, you're seen. But you're saying even if you have that, go through and mine through it and see, okay, who's actually my ambassadors and people that can help me build. So how long does it take, you think, to build 150 people like that, so people get the idea of, I'm going to do what Ray said today? What's the usual time frame you think to expect some results to happen?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know if you can put a time on it, right? Everybody's different. Some people, I think, someone who's the connection queen could probably do it very quickly. Some people could take months, some people could take years. One thing I do tell my clients is that this is a long game, right? There are
Yeah.
people that, and you kind of mentioned there are folks that you've been trying to become friends with intentionally for years, right?
Mm.
And then one day they call, or they, or just, hey, let's do lunch. So it can take years, but if you're intentional about it, you say, listen, I need this person in my life, or I want to work for this person. I tell the story about Farnsworth Bentley.
Yeah, that's a good story. Yep.
Right. He decided he was going to work for Puff Daddy. He made a decision. And so he went everywhere. And this was before social media. So he had to physically go.
Yeah, that's an awesome story he did. We'll break it down though.
He talked about it. Yeah. He said, listen, I'm going to be where Puff Daddy is, and I'm going to look like I'm a superstar.
Yeah.
And so he just did that. And it took probably a year. And one day, Puff actually said, hey, man, you want to come work for me?
And I think the part of that goes back to your original thing, your values, or having a plan. Like he decided. Same thing. I decided. Yeah, if you just decide, I want to know so and so. Yes, all of those won't happen. You can decide you want to meet Beyonce. Maybe it won't happen. But if you're intentional, it's a higher chance that it's going to happen. So is that the biggest thing? Do you think people come to you often for coaching and they don't do that part? Like they're basically saying, I'm networking on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, but nothing's happening. Is that usually the problem?
That's usually what happens. People social media is easy. It's easy to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, or obviously Instagram or Facebook. It's just so easy, but it's meaningless. They haven't put in the work because they have not made that decision, right? So once you make that decision that this is what I want out of life, out of maybe the next 5 years, this is where I want to be in the next 5 years. Who can help me get there? Do I need to know Oprah Winfrey? And I talk about aspirational folks, right? You can meet Oprah, you can meet Mark Cuban, you can meet Damon John. You just have to have a plan and an intention in place so that you show up at the right place at the right time, and that person will meet with you.
Yep, and Marlon had something. He's dropping sage advice in every specific technique or entryways. That's good for folks to tell y'all. Wait, to tell you what, but not the how. Yeah, that's important. You do get a lot of hows, but not the why behind things. And as a coach, that's probably, I coach my agents and things, and it's always the why is the big issue. When anybody that's listening to this, when you get into coaching, you spend a whole lot of time on the why, not so much the tactics, but a whole lot of time on, okay, why are you going to do this? What's the reason behind it? So let's talk about the kind of people that come to you. You mentioned people stuck in the job that they're not moving upward. Is there a certain industry or geographic area or something that's typical that you deal with?
I've been mostly in Georgia just because I'm based here. But I'm not, I have a couple of clients in the New York area. Not so much geographically based because we can do the sessions, as Zoom or just a phone call. The key is just doing the work. Also, it's not really industry specific. I have some entrepreneurs. I have some corporate folks. Just anybody who has come to believe that they're stuck because they have trouble networking. Or this is the thing. Many people don't know that's the problem. And that's probably part of my mission is showing people that if you have a strong network, it's a multiplier, right? When you have the right people in your life, the right friends, right? So it's about making friends, identifying the type of friends that you need to have. And when you have the right ones in your life gets so much easier, right? Everything that you want. Because when you think about everything you have in your life has come through someone. Wouldn't it make sense to have the right people in your life so that the right things come as opposed to what you're getting? So that's my message I tell them.
Yeah, and this has been played out in media all the time, and we don't really realize that. If you look at people like Drake as a musician, he's cameoed with every artist on the planet to try to make sure people see him. Or movies, I think of Mean Girls and movies like that. The girls target, I want to be with the cool girls, and they target that, and they're intentional about that. But for some reason, we don't get it in the business world. So in the book, I know there's a framework, not to give the sauce, but what are the pieces of the framework? I know we talked a little bit about that, but what's the framework for people to kind of understand?
Right. So it's really knowing what you want, knowing who you are. So I talk about kind of introspection and figuring out the type of personality that you have before you start to connect with people. Understanding who you need, right? So now you got what you want, you got who you are. Now you have to know who you need, and we talked a little bit about getting the avatar. Then the next step is actually going out, meeting people, right? So showing you how to go to events, how to show up, what to wear, how to walk in a room, how to have small talk. And then the last one is creating an organizational structure. So now you're organized. So we can talk about how do you keep in touch with people? How do you create, I know this is an overused term, a funnel, right? But it's like a friendship funnel, right? So everybody who comes in obviously is not going to be a good friend. But we have a system to show you this person would be a good friend for you. And then you slowly build a relationship with them until they become an ambassador for you.
I could have used you when I first started doing networking events back in the day, because I was getting cards, and I probably have a bag of cards somewhere in my house that is just
everybody does.
So let's break that down. So we can't do in person. I know some places are opening up, but I'm staying put. Georgia is one of the states that still has cases rising. So I believe in science. I'm staying in. I'm not dealing with that. Let's say the Zoom thing. There's a Zoom thing with 50 people on the screen.
Yep.
And let's say you didn't have the attendee list before it happened. You show up and there's 50 people there. What is a way to kind of take the offline method to this online world to help people to take advantage and really maximize connections on these online virtual events?
Right. So I think it's about just being fast. So whether you're online or offline, you're not going to make a customer at the event. And that, I think, that's the misconception many people have. I'm going to go to this networking event to get some customers. It's not how it works. You go to a networking event to find ambassadors, right? Find people who are potential ambassadors. It's the same thing online, right? So you can very quickly, as you're having these conversations, many of these type of events now have breakout rooms with 4 or 5 people. You go in there, tell them, this is what I do. Everybody kind of announces themselves. You get their contact information, and then the key is following up, right? People fail in the follow-up, right? It's easy.
It's like a t-shirt right there.
Right. They do. And so that's the problem. You get all these folks, you get all this contact information, and you never call them. Or when you call them, you simply trying to sell them, right? Which doesn't work. Just like your 100 friends analogy, it doesn't work. So get their cards, get their information, call them and say, hello, virtual coffee. That's what I've been doing, setting up what I call virtual coffee chats. So we just Zoom, I have my cup of coffee and you can actually have coffee or not. But yeah, just set up, hey, look, and you can do 10 of those a day, and they're 15 minutes. No commuting, you don't have to do anything, right? Just 15 minutes, you can do 15-minute coffee chats a day. You just set them up, and people will come. Some people won't show. That's fine. Just really add them to the D's, right? And then figure out from that. In 15 minutes, you can tell whether somebody's going to be a good friend or not. Generally.
Yeah, and so that's probably what you focus on. So you probably focus on, instead of getting a number of cards, you're saying, I want to focus on every week you have this many coffees, kind of as a accountability piece, because obviously you're coaching, you got to have some kind of something to measure it with.
Exactly.
So is that a big part of your coaching, is like, we need to make sure we have this many interactions or coffee, whatever you call it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just having those interactions. And then what I do is set up what I call a discovery call for folks who really know that they need some help. Say, hey, if someone is saying, for me as if I'm looking for customers, somebody tells me they struggle in the networking space. And then I'm just like, would you like some help with that? And then we'll schedule a free hour, where they can sit down for an hour with me and figure out if it's going to be a match and if somebody I can help. So that's how.
Awesome. And I'll make sure people get their comments on the screen too. But that's actionable, real stuff. Because I told you before we got online that it's good to have somebody that's a regular person, that's not having this $1 million system that's been in TV and everything. Because you can't really always believe those things. I mean, I find myself seeing those like, ooh, I should go look at that. even with my connection base, but it's like not a real person to me. So for the folks that need more help with, improving their connecting, whether online or offline, how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, just go to the website, rayabram.com. No S. I think a lot of people, like Stacey Abrams, they put the S on it.
Yep.
I mean, it just killed my whole URL. I need to Ray Abram.
So you just add an S just to keep the wave going.
Just add an S and redirect. And so rayabram.com. There's a button up there where you can book a session with me. Just book an hour. And you can just, if you're not ready for that, just sign up for the newsletter. We'll send that out to you, or buy the book. Connect Like a Boss, shameless plugs on Amazon's $8 in paperback. I think $4 for the ebook. I'm not trying to get rich off the book. Just something I just want to get this message out to folks. Become better networkers.
And I think it's important to say that because most people don't realize you're not going to get rich off a book. Book sales don't really, unless you're Oprah maybe, but book sales usually don't do like Michelle Obama did with that book and it just sells out. That doesn't usually happen.
Right.
So it's good you're putting out content. This is another form of content by doing a book. So people, Ray's trying to help you. This basically, instead of having him on a call every day, you can read his book and have him in your pocket or have him on your Kindle and things like that.
Everything in the book, this is the core of what we teach. And then if you need support, if you need accountability, if you need some just additional guidance, then I'm there to, help you through that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate this. Just real tips for people. So Ray, thank you and be respectful of your time. We're coming up on 4th of July and it'll be interesting to see. I was on the road today and there was a ton of cars out there, which was kind of disheartening to me. I was hoping there wouldn't be a lot of cars that people were staying home, but it looks like they're getting back out and saying, I'm going to the beach and barbecue and all that stuff.
the world, hey man, look, you can't stop people from doing what they're going to do. I don't know, so.
This has proven that Americans are very impatient. So if anybody can hear my voice right now, the virus is real.
It is.
Follow science. I had a uncle-in-law that just passed away yesterday. He had surgery recently, and they let him out the hospital soon because they couldn't keep him there because they had to let COVID patients in. So they let him out prematurely. He died at home. So this is real. Yeah. Please, people. I know this wasn't the point of this topic, but that's on my mind right now. Just please, if you can social distance, please just do it. It helps the whole world if we just stop because we're the best country at the most numbers with this. So as we say, America's the best and top nation in the world. Yeah, with COVID-19, definitely.
COVID-19,
so please stay home. And on a positive thing to end this with, Jeannie said follow up. Not sexy, but necessary in order to grow. Thanks, Ray. And Ashina said thank you. Oh. And the Connection Queen, she said great chat, guys.
Cool. Good.
We'll catch you guys next time. Business of Benefits. This will be an audio version later on, but please tag someone in the replay that might need to hear this or need to get in contact with Ray. And we will catch you next time on Business of Benefits.
Cool.